Welcome to Mah Jongg Central. My name is Michele. In this episode of At the Table, Playing American Mahjong, I want to share about verbal tells. A tell is when a player changes their demeanor or behavior that gives clues about their hand. So even though that is a poker term, the ideas can be used for American Mahjong, and I want to share some examples of those with you. I have yet to open with any jokers. I don't even have a pair. Oh, I gave away a tile. Darn it. Okay, so let's pass. Okay. I went the wrong way. Nine dot. Call. There are all the jokers. Exchange, please. I really needed that. 8 dot. Call. Finally. White dragon. Ah, I just threw away my tile. Ugh. Red. Everybody's throwing away all my tiles. All my tiles are out. I can't buy a flower. 3 crack. Oh dear. Flower. Call. That's where all the flowers are. Those are just some examples of the chatter that goes on at the table that gives way too much information about how things are going with everybody's hand. So let me just recap and explain the kinds of information you can get from all of those outbursts. Let's start with, I have yet to open up with jokers. Anytime someone says, I have yet to open up with any jokers, right away you can tell that they have no jokers in their hand. And you can feel pretty confident that you may have a greater chance at getting some jokers during the pick and discard phase of the game because of that comment early on in the game. During the pick and discard phase of the game, sometimes people say things like, I can't buy a flower. Whenever somebody says that, you can bet that either the flowers are going to be in other people's hands or they're going to still be in the wall. And if you need a flower, that information is pretty critical, especially if you need a pair. If you hear from one player that they don't have any flowers and you need a pair of flowers, then the hopes of you getting a flower are pretty great. During the pick and discard phase of the game, anytime someone says something like, oh dear, or uh-oh, that means that they've probably just drawn a dangerous tile. Usually dangerous tiles are going to be flowers, maybe white dragons, or maybe fresh tiles. So if you're sitting there with those tiles, you know, that kind of raises your excitement level, thinking that they're going to discard a pretty risky tile. So that gives away information, especially if they decide to keep that tile. If somebody says, oh dear, and we're nearing the end of a wall, and they keep that tile, the oh dear tile, you can bet that it's either going to be something in an exposure where somebody is close to winning, maybe a flower, or maybe a white dragon, or something like that. So that information could be key. It may mean that you can switch to defense, or maybe, you know, you potentially could have no hope of making your hand. When you start getting down to the last wall and towards the end of the last wall, and there are a lot of tiles out, sometimes people will say, all my tiles are out, or everybody's throwing away my tiles. That just means that that player is desperate. Their hand is falling apart, so they are probably not a contender for the win. Anytime someone says, I just threw away my tile, the first thing I do is I look at all the tiles by them, and I try to figure out maybe which tile it was. So based on their exposures, I can try to figure out what they're playing. Anytime someone makes an exposure with a bunch of jokers and someone says, that's where all the jokers are, well, to me, that means they have no jokers, or they're needing more jokers. And both of those is a lot of information that can help me in my decision making, because A, if they have no jokers, I know that there are some jokers in the wall that I may end up getting. Or B, if they need those jokers and don't have them, then they may not be able to make their hand. These are just some of the things that people say every day when you play Mahjong. It just seems like I hear the same ones over and over. It's really funny how that happens. Really, the best thing to do is to not say any of those things. You know, most people do play a friendly game where there's chatter at the table. That's totally fine. But when the chatter is about the game itself, and they're complaining about what they have in their hand or what they don't have in their hand, or what has been exposed or discarded, that gives away information to players at the table. And if not me as a player, other players, if they're paying attention, can gather information based on what they're saying as well. So it really hurts everybody at the table when all those things are said. It's best just to be quiet, and after the game, commiserate and lament. If you are one of those players who rarely speaks about their hand or what's going on at the table, kudos to you. If you are one of the players who talks too much, I challenge you to tone it down and keep comments to yourself, so that you don't give away information about the game that can give your opponents an advantage over you. Let me know what you think about this video. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please click subscribe. Between now and the next episode of At the Table, playing American style Mahjong, may all your picks be keepers.